Hey, good morning. It is already Monday once again, February the 16th. That makes us, really a little over halfway through this month. It's a shorter month. 28 days is all we'll get out of this as we get this month rolling. Right now, 52 as we get to a high later today of about 69. But don't expect sunshine quickly. It's going to be kind of gradually cloudy and eventually sparking some sunshine. We'll go over the weather forecast here in just a few moments, get you updated on that. Some rough weather to the south of us this weekend as storms rolled through early morning Saturday, and some got warnings, some did not. We'll tell you all about the weather forecast coming up in a minute here as we get this day underway. Early morning there. How do you feel? Let's hope so. It's a new week. We got a new start, and it's going to feel like springtime this week, getting to about 81 one day this week. We'll be wearing short sleeves, having a good time. Let's go to Collinsville now and get our first report of the week. Let's go to First Baptist.
Have you ever worn the same shirt for days? Man, I've got one preteen, two teenage boys as well right now, and there are days I have to tell them, son, go take a shower and put on fresh clothes. You've worn that shirt for like 3 days now. And sometimes they'll even take a shower and then try to put back on that dirty shirt. I'm like, dude, that is gross. You don't put dirty clothes back on after you shower. These are kind of like, I guess, dad problems, all right, when you have boys. Dirty clothes get really rank fast, right? We need to change them out for fresh clothes. Now, Apostle Paul says in Colossians 3 that we need to do the same thing in our spiritual life. That old life before Christ is like filthy, stinking clothes we need to strip off. Before Christ, we wore the garments of sexual sin, greed, anger, slander, lies. They felt normal then, even nice. Everyone around us was wearing them too. But those rags carry the smell of death, and they mark us as children of wrath, destined for God's judgment. But for those of us who are in Christ, when He saved us, He didn't just patch our clothes and spray some cologne on them. He gave us an entirely new wardrobe. Through His life, death, and resurrection, we've been clothed with Christ. But here's the thing. Sometimes we like to grab those old dirty clothes and put them back on. But God calls us to put to death those old behaviors. Strip them off like infected garments. Burn them. Throw anger, malice, lying in the burn barrel where they belong. And then put on your new clothes, your new identity in Christ, your Christ-like characteristics, and walk in them. Beloved, stop digging through the dirty pile of laundry. That's your past. You've been given resurrection clothes, so wear them. Change begins in you.
The Change Begins in You is brought to you in part by Piggly Wiggly of Collinsville, Patrick Allen Companies, Mitchell Tire and Wrecker in Collinsville, and Mowdy Cabinetry. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that message. Well, it's always good to get those. As we said, 52 right now. That's a big difference from where we were a few weeks ago. Again, today's high should be around 69. We'll get into the forecast as it gets underway this morning as we get your day underway. Good thing we don't live in Australia. I can remember as a kid, I know there's always been, it used to be big in the movies, people that smoked. Do y'all realize how much this stuff is over in Australia? $40 a pack. You really got to want one to live in Australia. I'm not sure what it costs in the U.S. these days, but $40, whew, that's an expensive habit. We do see that, and I almost didn't bring this up because it's almost fits the who cares test anymore. Daytona, NASCAR, there's a few people that still watch, but not many. Michael Jordan's team won over the weekend. His name is Tyler Reddick. He won the Daytona 500. If you're interested. Not many left, but a few that still watch it. Pam Bondi. And maybe you've gotten into this, maybe you haven't, but they say that all the Epstein files have been released, and there's a lot of blushing faces going, ooh, I didn't mean to be friends with him. There's people resigning from jobs. And there's one guy, I'll have to find the story there. Just let me get to it. I got it up here somewhere. I don't want to misquote what that guy said because it was kind of strange. Real strange. Seattle, Washington. I don't get this. I truly don't. No matter what you think of our nation, it is the United States of America. No flag should be flown on its ground except the United States of America. As you'll see here on Twitter, you can watch it. It's out there. The mayor of Seattle, let me back it up so you can see her. She's there she is there. She's raising the flag of Pan-Africa over City Hall. Just no flag. It doesn't matter what. We are the U.S. of A. And I had to look this up, and I believe you pronounce it Bellevue Police Department's in Washington State. And I watched the entire video as the police released the cam footage of this. A guy calls and makes a complaint. Very English barrier, and the cop is standing there with his hands on his vest, and out of nowhere, the guy attacks the police officer with a knife. Just unprovoked. The guy wasn't doing anything to him. He attempted to take the police officer's life. He was subdued. And this is the police department here. I've never heard of that town. But there's small towns. It's bigger than Meridian, but places in the U.S. I'm just not familiar with, especially Washington. But they have been hurt, so we wish them a full recovery as they get over that. Here's one of those good stories that makes you feel good. There are good Samaritans left in America, and they do it every day. A mother had an accident. Her car ran off in a ditch. It was underwater. Good Samaritans stopped and helped them. That was in Florida. There are good folks still left. Never underestimate the power of good deeds. Kraft, I remember talking about this a couple years ago. And why they merged, I guess they thought it was going to be a big takeover. Kraft and Heinz, they merged the companies. Late last year, they announced that, well, it wasn't working out as well as they thought, and they were going to be splitting. Well, this week they've announced, or at the end of last week, they've announced that, well, they're not going to do that just yet. They're going to try to fix the problem before separating. And you look at all of this of who's bigger and what's... You get into this. Brands Heinz, Philadelphia cream cheese, and Kraft mac and cheese are the best sellers. On the other side, they have the slower brands like Maxwell House. I didn't even realize they had that in that company. Oscar Mayer, Kraft Singles, and the Lunchables are on the not selling as well as the others. Maxwell House. It's a good backup to Folgers, I guess. Depending upon what you like. Everybody's got their favorite there. Watch this, and there's people, we talk about this often because there are so many people that scam others during storms, at the worst of your vulnerable times. That's the word I'm looking for. They go after you. We often see where they will do recordings of people's grandchildren. But now they're really focusing on, at one point, they were after people's savings. Now they're going a step further and after that vulnerable person who's maybe lost a loved one and they're living alone. And they start emailing them online. And after months and months of building confidence, they go, oh, I'm in a mess. Could you take out a loan on your house and help me out? One of the biggest scams that's going on right now, taking millions from Americans across this U.S. of A. And they're nothing more than keyboard warriors taking from them. Be on your best guard. If you don't know someone, watch who you become friends with. Hamilton, Alabama, joining us. Good morning. Hope you all are feeling well there also. What else do we have going on today? Niagara Falls. Has anybody ever been there? I haven't. I remember being talked about it or told about it all my life, but I've never been there and seen it myself. A tour bus driver, this would happen last year, has been indicted on manslaughter charges. It was a bus load. The bus overturned. 5 people died in the crash. They were coming back from there. The ages ranged from 1-year-old to 70-year-old that were on the bus that day. They haven't said exactly what he done, but manslaughter charges have been filed. Horrible that someone lost their life in that. Homeland Security is temporarily shut down. No negotiations have been met. There'll be a little bit of negotiating before funds are put back. We all know what that's about, so that's going on this week. And don't forget, I was telling Odie a minute ago, it slipped my mind. Today is President's Day, which means there's going to be a few things closed that aren't normally. Washington's birthday being celebrated today, and, well, banks and things of that nature will most likely be closed. County offices closed?
Most of them.
Most.
We'll be open for a couple of hours. We got some things to do.
But your courthouse and things of that nature will be closed today. Ann Hall, how are you doing today? So good to see you. Let's see here. The USS Gerald Ford has set sail and is headed to the Middle East. This will make the second aircraft carrier in the Middle East as we put pressure on Iran. They better believe that, man. All I've got to say. They've taken out another cartel boat, and what it was doing was smuggling drugs to the U.S. And you think, oh, what's wrong with that? It takes lives every single day. The U.S. took out 3 that were on board that boat, plus all their drugs. If you don't get along, and let me say this because this ends up to horrible things in America, but domestic disputes end up being the worst calls that police officers can go on. This time it ended up really bad for a fireman. Let me see what state this was in. I was trying to find the state. Well, I guess the state really doesn't matter at this point where this went on. But it was a fireman. And just to tell you a tale of Bob and Ann, we'll make up a name here. I don't remember their exact names. His wife, after a few years of marriage, had an affair on him. Got the best of him. He couldn't get over it. So he started texting the wife of the guy that his wife had an affair with. Does that make sense? Kind of like Shania Twain did. She left her after her husband cheated on her. She married the guy. Yeah, it was a swap there, if that makes any kind of sense. His wife, the other party's wife divorced. They became good friends. And the other wife said, wait a minute, you need to get a divorce first before we go any further. Next thing you know, his wife that had the affair on him ended up in a fiery crash in a Jeep. Only problem was it was no accident. He had strangled her and placed her in the Jeep. Took her life and set it on fire. He'll spend the rest of his days in prison. All for what? If you can't get along with someone, leave. I've said that so many times, but gosh, the things that you look at in the news that people do in the moment of, is it passion? Is that what you call this? He wanted to marry somebody else. All he had to do was get a divorce. My, oh my. That's a horrible thing. We had a missing 3-year-old, and we had a puppy dog in Louisville, Kentucky. Little puppy dog there. Take police right to where the little missing child was. Dogs are smarter than you think, y'all. Pay attention. A dog knows more than you think. Did y'all realize this? Let me show you a picture of this. Here is Larry the cat. Larry is the first cat of England. I didn't even know they had such a thing there. It was a stray. They took it in, and there he is. I Googled him. He does exist. He's been doing this for 15 years. He meets world leaders all the time. Interesting. I don't think the U.S. has got one of those, do they? Each president usually brings a dog, but I don't know of anything else. There you go there, over in England. What else do we have this morning of stories that are happening? Coffee prices are soaring. I can't give up my habit. As we mentioned, smokes a minute ago being $40 a pack, and over in Australia, coffee. A lot of people are starting to change their daily routines. That cup of coffee that used to be $3 is escalated in some places as to be $8. Black coffee. Some things you just can't give up, but some Americans are adjusting their schedule. Wendy's, they're scheduling more closes. In the last quarter of 2025, I believe it was somewhere between 25 to 28 stores that were shuttered due to, well, lacking sales. More is predicted this year, as somewhere between 298 to maybe 350 stores across America will close. They've got roughly 6,000 stores, and they'll close somewhere close to 350 more. Lagging sales, they're just not making it. We all know a lot of this. People are willing to pay more when customer service is at its best, are you not? You will. You'll go to a store if it's a few pennies more. Somebody treats you well. But how many times have we been done? And this goes for all restaurants. People that just don't seem to care that they're even at work. Rude. That affects sales. Y'all know that. How many times have you ever walked into Ace Hardware and you're greeted at the door? How can I help you? What aisle do you need to go to? It's always somebody there here in Meridian that takes you to the aisle what you're looking for. That's customer service. We need to spread that. It works good. They do a fantastic job of it there. There's other stores that are similar to that one that don't do that. You wander around for an hour and a half trying to find something. They help you. That's what makes a difference. Just saying, I think everybody will agree with that. I don't know much about this, but a figure skating coach, I don't know what kind of threat they are, in St. Louis was gunned down. Has to be more to that story than meets the eye. Blades of Glory. What was that movie that he was in that was so horrible? Blades of Glory? That was a bad movie, y'all. That was horrible. That was what's his name? The guy that was in Talladega Nights, Ricky Bobby, whatever his name is. Yeah, Cal Naughton Jr.'s friend. I'll think of it in a minute. But that was a bad movie. We'll move on now. Other things that are happening this morning here. I remember the black and white version of this. Anybody remember a movie named Wuthering Heights? Will Ferrell is the name I was trying to think of. Thank you, Tim. Wuthering Heights. They've made a remake to that, and it was the #1 at the box office. It seemed kind of doom and gloom looking back as the black and white I remember, but it was the #1 movie at the box office this weekend. Took in $34 million. They got a lot to gain now. It takes a lot to make movies, but it's off to the lead there. I think they put a new twist on it, most likely. I did read, and I don't have it in front of me. You remember the Snow White version to where it went woke? It lost millions upon millions. One of the worst losers they ever had. Some things are just best left alone, aren't they? They are, in my opinion. Diane, good morning. Good morning there. We'll be right back with your weather forecast as we get this day underway. Y'all stay with us. We'll be right back.
For over 40 years, you've been able to count on Watt Equipment in DeKalb, Mississippi. They've got your Massey Ferguson's brand new 23 up to 135 horse cab and air tractors. They've got all your hay equipment needs, all your bush hogs. If your tractor needs it, they got it. Also remember, they service all makes and models, whether it's green, orange, blue, red, or yellow. They can get your parts in, they can do your service on your equipment. Don't forget Watt Equipment, DeKalb, Mississippi.
Welcome back. Let's get into that forecast.
Your forecast is brought to you by EMEPA.
Now, as we get into this, let's talk about the severe weather that happened overnight. And this just goes to prove, never underestimate the power of Mother Nature. We did have a tornado watch that was issued for the area. It really didn't get bad in the Meridian area, or we thought in Clark County, as we start to see what comes out of this. We did have some severe weather that was over in Lincoln County, and it moved across. Jasper County at 1 minute for a few minutes did get a tornado warning. As we look at this, let me show you something that was surprising on this, and they've been out. As we look at this, here's the first from the National Weather Service. Now, this was Norfield, Mississippi. Had a tornado. It was an EF1 there, 110-mile-an-hour winds. As we look at that, let's go to the next one. Enterprise, Mississippi. Now, there was no tornado warning issued on this. This stayed on the ground for roughly 3 minutes. This would be near Shibuya, is more or less where it is. They listed it as Enterprise, but the directions where this was around Enterprise. Went 2 miles, 200 yards wide, 100-mile-an-hour winds there. I haven't gotten any major damage other than trees mentioned in that, but that did happen over the weekend. No warning that I'm aware of was ever issued for that. Monticello, Mississippi also had a tornado that did a little damage, and then the Lincoln one, this was the big one that we look at here as we pull this up. This thing went almost 7 miles as we look at this. 1205 to 1218, 100 mile an hour there. Did some damage, some significant damage in that area. As always, treat bad weather as serious as it gets there. We should. Let's get into that forecast now. Look at our record highs and lows. Back in 95, it was 82. We go back to 21, somewhat 5 years ago now. That's hard to put into arithmetic. 14 was the low there back in 21. It's up and down, isn't it? As we look at our forecast as we travel along, today's high about 69. It's going to be cloudy for the most part. Could see some areas of sunshine by the afternoon, but for the most part, expected to be cloudy. 69 pretty much all the way to the state line. We could see 65 there in Tunica, down the river, 68 at Vicksburg. And Natchez warming up there to about 71. As we look at tonight's low, not bad. 47, we'll see 45 at Iuka and 49 over in Greenville, and all the way down to Natchez, about 50 there along the Mississippi River. As we look at Bama, 67 in Demopolis and Livingston, Alabama, and somewhere around 69 there in Birmingham. We should see that as well. Even stretching south is Montgomery. As we look at the outlook of this, not so bad, but it's going to reach 81 before the week is out. Warmer weather, West Texas. Here's what we got on our 7-day outlook as we see here. 69 today, 47 tonight as we saw that. As we jump to Tuesday, warming up to 72. By Wednesday, we're at 78. And I think we're just full edge into June at the first part of Thursday. 81 and 82 as we move into the weekend. Now, thunderstorms will start to occur as we look at this 50% chance, and then we'll get a 40% chance on Saturday, down to a 30% chance on Sunday. As we go all the way through March 2nd, we'll get back into the 70s, upper 70s there around the 26th, and still hovering around March the 2nd at around 70. 69, we'll have one day of there, the 50-degree weather there on the 23rd. But for the most part, we're in the upper 60s and 70s all the way to March the 2nd. Spring is coming, y'all. It's right around the corner. You're right, Robin. I love sunshine as well. As we look at our fishing forecast for today, it's going to be nice. North wind around 5 miles an hour, becoming calm by this afternoon. It'll be perfect time to fish then. Major times to fish today begins at 10:30, roughly till 12:30, right up to 1 o'clock. A minor time will be this afternoon, 4:30 to 5:30. There'll be no wind then, so it should be pretty good. Sunrise moving in this morning at 6:36. Sunset will be as far late as 5:42. Brought to you by our friends at Parker Wholesale. Let's go over to radar and take a look at what we've got going on this morning. Let's see. As we go to pull this up this morning, we go to Doc's Toyota radar. Absolutely nothing happening in the Meridian area as we look at this. We do have fog out to our west. Shreveport, Louisiana, covered in fog. Hot Springs all the way up to Little Rock, and we get into Tennessee here. We'll see this through Jackson, Tennessee, even portions of Nashville this morning. Ooh, get this up to Bowling Green. Look at this, up to Louisville, Kentucky. It will be tough on those interstates. Be careful there on 65 as you're going north there. All those areas there. As we look across Bama, pretty good there. A little bit of fog there around Gadsden, Athens, Georgia, and Greenville, South Carolina has a little bit. Overall, not bad at all as we look at this, as we're still seeing snow in these upper portions of the U.S. of A. Not bad at all. That's a look at our forecast right now as we get this day underway. Already 6:54, Union, Mississippi. Good morning, Miss Irene. Good to see you. You're right, Chris. I do believe that groundhog has lied to us. He has not been getting it right. And we'll talk about that. He is so wrong that Naked Man has been out for a run this morning. That's how we know when spring's coming in Mississippi, or at least Meridian. We'll talk more about that this morning beginning at 7. Join us, won't you? And all goes live at 7 a.m. We'll see you soon.